I'm not going to drive this car for show. So I want to cannonball this car. It's got to be safe enough to go at speed across the country with people I care about. After a few months of negotiation, after doing the US Express with Ed in the Rolls Royce, I bought the Rocky Aoki twin targa Porsche limousine 959 thing and brought it home. When I bought it, I had really no idea whether it was a viable car or not. There are many, many questions when you buy a husk that have been sitting at a body shop for many, many years. And that's how the previous owner, Baron Margot, got it. He bought it from Rocky Aoki 2-3 months before he passed away when it was sitting in this body shop, and dragged it home and really hadn't done anything to it except build a strange bar in the back seat. And that was it. And I looked at it in the dark, sitting after having cannonballed across the country, and didn't really assess it the way I would assess any normal purchase. There was potential. So we got it home. I dragged it home. And first thing is, we went to get it off the trailer and it wouldn't move. That somehow the jiggling of the trip had locked up 3 of the calipers. And we had to get my Rhino out and drag it off of the trailer and then drag it into the garage and take the wheels off, free up the calipers just to get it onto the lift, which is an ominous beginning to any car purchase. And once we got up there, we kind of assessed. That the idea was to assess it, see if it was really a car, see if it was something that we could build into something. Because there was the option that it was a total write-off. That, the limo company built it so poorly, and over the years it had been so neglected that literally I'm going to hang it on my wall, or it goes to the shredder or something like that. Like I might have made an expensive mistake. But those are the risks you take when you're a crazy car guy like me. So we put it up on a lift to really examine to see, first of all, what it is. We didn't really know what the car was. Was it 2 cars put together? Was it 3 cars put together? Was it just a stretched whatever? And what we discovered was that it was 1973 Porsche 911E Targa. And we got that from the VIN number in the front. And you could see where the floor was cut matched the floor in the back. So it would fit perfectly together if you took it out. So it was 1 car cut in half. What was strange was the nose of the car was also a whole separate section. And what that meant was that they had cut off the nose. Now, 911s of that era, very common, they would get in front of accidents. You'd cut off the front in front of the front axles and weld on another one. And I'm like, did they do that to put this 959 body kit on? Or did they do it because it was hit? So is there another car here involved? And what we came to in a conclusion is the 959 body kit uses a short hood. Now, the early 911s, a 73 911 would have been called a long hood. It was before they put the impact bumpers on them. The hoods came down beautifully and they'd wrap over the front bumper. The later cars, 74 on, had a shorter hood that came down to the impact bumper. Now, that's the way the 959 body kit was. So I think they did. And from other parts of the car, I think they got the front end off of a 75. And the reason for that is the transmission is a 75. And that front end looks to be, it's definitely 74 on. So I'm guessing it's that era. They cut off and welded onto the front. When you do that, it can be really bad for the car. The reason is the front suspension hooks up, it bolts to the bottom of that section of the car. And if you weld it on at an angle or tilt it or anything like that, you'll never get the car aligned. It'll never drive straight. And with a stretched car, I'm sure it'd be even more exaggerated crabbing down the road. In unfortunate and fortunate circumstances, that front end was all rotted. Once we got all the Bondo off and things like that, there was rot that we're gonna have to remove and place all that steel anyway. So that's job number 1, is to do that and then get the front end rebuilt. As we moved back, we're like, well, let's look at the stretch. Let's see what they did. And the floor looks like somebody found a sheet of galvanized steel after a hurricane in Louisiana, like somebody's shed got blown in. That's all it is. It's like galvanized flooring. It's horrible. It's nothing I would have put in a car. The real structural part of a 911 are the sills, because it's a unibody car. And the sills, if they are strong, it'll work. And They used galvanized steel for it, which is not bad. It doesn't rust. It was of a decent thickness, and it seemed to have been welded on pretty well, so I was happy with that. And then the center hoop was completely fabricated. So there's the rear targa hoop, which is on the back of the car. They had made a center targa hoop. And it is some of the worst fabrication. We took the skin off the inside of it, and there's like bars not meeting bars. Like they just cut it too short, and they would stick a nut in between the two of them and just tack them in to fill the space. Like, no, you don't need to cut another piece. We don't want to waste any steel. Just weld a washer in there, and we'll fill in the gaps, and it'll all be covered. No one will ever see it. Now I'm finding out that this is how people build limos. I'm not going to say all limo companies do, but in the 80s, I talked to a few guys who are like, oh yeah, that was pretty common. You know, people knew they were never going to see it. They weren't going to drive it that far. It was just for show. And I'm not going to drive this car for show. So I want to cannonball this car. It's got to be safe enough to go at speed across the country with people I care about. So the idea of rebuilding it is built around that idea. I want to make it safe. Can we make this safe? So that center section needs to be torn out and redone. The rear of the car is in great shape. The Porsche parts of the car are completely, really in pretty good condition. There's no engine, but the transmission was in there. The transmission, this was kind of an exciting discovery. The transmission number, the final 4 digits of the transmission number, 2904. I kid you not. And I nearly screamed when I was cleaning it off. And Matt was in there and he heard me. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, you're not going to believe this. But the last digit to 2904, which of course was my cannonball run that I did from 2007 to 2017. I did 8 the 2904 cannonballs. This is meant to be. Like at that point, car is saved. The puppy eyes opened, and I can't send that puppy home now. I can't. It's a 2904 vehicle. So whatever happens, I know even if I lose a lot of money, I got to save the 2904 vehicle. So the 959 body kit is put on pretty poorly, as you'd imagine. Lots of Bondo. In fact, the front targa had been welded on by the body shop as far as we could figure and smoothed out. And it was made out of metal. The rear targa was a traditional foldable soft targa that early 911s had. And I think that front targa was made and probably was what they used during its run as a limo. And they just got frustrated with it and welded it on and Bondoed it. We chiseled off pounds of Bondo. And Matt was there literally with a chisel and a hammer, just knocking this stuff off until we found the welds, ground the welds back, and opened it up, because there is the temptation to leave it closed up. Structurally, it would be a lot stronger. But really, I bought a twin targa. I want a twin targa. It's going to be a twin targa. So it's back to being a twin targa. Fortunately, when we removed that sheet of steel, the whole car didn't just collapse onto itself. That was a temptation. We measured it before we took the targa top off, because it's on the lift, so it's only being held at 4 points on a lift. And that's causing a bit of tension towards the center. And I'm like, if that distance closes at all, I know we're in trouble. But the distance didn't change at all when we took it out. So I felt good. I mean, the sills were pretty strong. One thing they didn't do when they built it was there's a center tunnel in a 911, which essentially makes a box down the center. It's part of the structure of a 911. When they cut it in half, they didn't extend that tunnel. So we have to come up with a plan to strengthen the car and make it into something. I made a few phone calls to my fabrication friends. I can fabricate. We do some good fabrication at the shop, but this is beyond. You have to know where your skill set ends. Otherwise, you build garbage. I don't build with ego. I build with knowledge. And I know I don't have the knowledge to do this project. It is too much to do it safely. I can build a race car, but I want this to be a street car, so it has to look good and be functional. So I call up my friend Dave Stoltz, and Dave Stoltz is a master fabricator, and by that I mean absolute master. He restored the first Duesenberg production car ever built at Canepa. He was Canepa's go-to guy. He did their GT40 street cars. I mean, can fabricate anything. Absolute master. Fortunately, his home is only about a half an hour from my house. And he's like, I'll come look at it. And Dave's the sweetest guy. Love him to death. And he just comes, he's like, yeah. how far do you want to go with this? I'm like, well, what do you think I should do? He goes, no, that's not up to me. Like, this is the wisdom of somebody who's been around custom cars a long time. He's like, I'm not making this choice. This is your choice. He goes, we can cut this car in half again, start over. He goes, if you want to do that, he goes, if you had no budget limit, he goes, that's what I would do. He goes, that way you know everything. He goes, but we could do this, 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 and this. And I said, yeah, I go, all these things. He goes, we build the center tunnel. We'll build a hoop cage underneath the center targa. We'll send some supports out. We'll strengthen the floor pan and do the front end and the whole thing. A couple of weeks later, I was like, I think I really want a professional to do this. So I called Dave up and I'm like, can you recommend somebody to really make sure this is done perfectly? And he's like, all right, I'll do it. What? He's like, I got some space in my shop coming up in the next couple months. He's like, you come over. He goes, here's how it's going to work. You bring it over and you and Matt do all the grunt work. He goes, you're going to do all the grinding and cutting and stuff like that. He goes, I'll do the bending and the welding. He goes, you work with me. Now, this is great news on a couple of levels. One is Dave Stoltz is going to work on the Twin Targa, which is huge. This guy does Pebble Beach cars. Second, I get to apprentice with Dave Stoltz, which is fantastic. I'm a huge proponent of people handing down their knowledge for classic cars. And there's a lot of guys out there like him who are in their 60s and 70s who know these things that don't take on apprentices because there's not people who want to learn it. And the skills he's learned over decades and building custom cars and things is amazing. So if I can glean some of that, if Mechanic Matt, who's, he's just in his 30s, can learn some of that, he can work with that for years. That's the value. That was a hidden gem in this project, is I get to work with Dave Stoltz in his shop for a couple of weeks on this car. So that's tremendously exciting. And I know it's going to be done right and perfectly. We're going to do the front sheet metal. We're going to do the roll bars. We're going to do the strengthening of the floor. And then we'll see where we're at. The idea is to get it structurally sound, all the metal work done, and there's an opportunity to take it up to my friends at Sway, at Trevin. We're talking about bringing it up to Montana and having them, they've got an amazing body shop there, that they'll do the body and paint on it, which would be fantastic. So if we can get steel done, structural, then it painted, then the rest of it's up to me. What I need to do now is find all the mechanicals for it. And I can do that remotely. I'm going to see if I can get better brakes for it. It has the stock brakes, which are fine, but I'd like something a little bigger because obviously we're carrying a little more weight. You're not going to believe how much this thing weighs. And I was like, if you guessed, and I've asked people, they're like, oh, it's got to weigh 3,000 pounds. I was like, there's no engine in it. And it was half of an interior. What do you think? Wow, 3,000 pounds. I'm like, nope. And they're like, 2,500 pounds. Nope. 2,000 pounds. Nope. With the wheels on, as we bought it, it weighed 1,960 pounds, which shocked me that it would be that light. Now, early 911s are very light cars, and the engines weigh about 400 pounds. So we could get this car done and finished and filled and still probably under 3,000 pounds, which would be amazing, which means we don't need a giant engine in the back. And that's the final step, really, for my job right now, is to find an engine for this thing. The options, obviously, are LS swap it, which I don't want to do. Mechanic Matt totally wants to do. I'm like, meh. Find, there's Subaru engines you can put in the back of those, but I want a Porsche engine in the back. If I had my druthers, I would have a 964 turbo in the back of that thing. Puts out all the power. It's still an air-cooled early engine, not hard to work on. I don't need to put in radiators and water-cooled stuff and all that. Just bolt on to the 915 transmission just beautifully. Now, those engines are hard to come by. They only built a couple thousand of those cars back in the day. But who knows? Maybe there's one flooded in Dubai right now that we can snap up. Could be. Another strange option I thought about was, it has a Porsche on it, plastic on it, is the twin-turbo V6 out of the Cayenne, which is essentially a VR6, which bolts up to the 915 transmission. That would be kind of cool. Those engines put out over 300 horsepower. They're tidy enough to fit in the back of a 911. No one's really ever done that before. The only trick is running all the cooling lines and, you know, doing all the things you have to do for a water-cooled engine and a modern electronics to run it. So I'm on the fence, but I would love to find an early turbo engine for it. That would be ideal. So that's where it's at. It sits waiting for the hands of Dave Stoltz to transform it and then painted with the guys at Sway. And I'm hoping that we have it, you know, by next spring, it's painted on its wheels, and I've found an engine by then, because I would love next year, 2025 is my goal. It's hopeful. Of course, this whole car is hopeful that we take it to a few shows, and finally, I don't know how many years it's been since 1991 when it ran at one lap. Finally, after all these decades, it finally gets a chance to cannonball across the country. I'd also like to find a way to get some sponsorship for it and help, you know, with paying for this amazing project and sharing with sponsors. They get to put their names on it, because it was originally sponsored by Kirin Beer. So that would be cool to put Kirin back on there. And of course, Benihana was on there. Benihana would probably like to get their hands on it. And I'd really like to collaborate with Steve and Devin Aoki on it, because obviously this car was one of their dad's pride and joys.
When you're buying a pre-owned car, it is critical to get a professional mechanic to inspect it every time. And so the Lemon Squad is the easiest way to do that and the most affordable. Generally within 24 or 48 hours, they can get somebody on site anywhere in the country with their nationwide network of trained professional mechanics that are going to give you a ton of pictures and a full report of exactly what's going on with this car. It's a great way to avoid scams, and it's a great way to get a very clear picture of the car that you're buying, and this ammunition can make you the shrewdest negotiator of all. It also makes the drive home a whole lot easier and keeps a little bit more money in your pocket, and I know that you'll love the results from the Lemon Squad. So check them out now at the link in the description below for a special discount and to make sure that you're buying the car that you think you are.